The Mandela Effect. A phenomenon occurs when people remember specific events or details differently from how they actually happened. For instance, some individuals recall Nelson Mandela's death in the 1980s, though he actually passed away in 2013. Somehow I myself also remember seeing Mandela die in the 80s, even though I was born in 1990. This discrepancy has led some to theorize that it could suggest manipulation of the past within a simulated reality or hint at the existence of parallel universes. Another example is the disagreement over the spelling of the Berenstain Bears series, where die-hard fans swear it was spelled Stein. Let's be real, was anyone ever really skilled at reading script as a kid? Nick Bostrom's hypothesis. This is also the main argument point that Elon Musk uses to support his "we're in a simulation" claim. He explained, 40 years ago, we had Pong, 2 rectangles and a dot. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D with millions playing simultaneously. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is now, it's a given that we're clearly on a trajectory that we're going to have games that are indistinguishable from reality. If future humans are capable of doing that, they would likely create numerous simulations, with multiple simulated realities and only one base reality. So statistically, it's more probable that we currently exist in a simulation. Missing aliens. We've dedicated significant resources to exploring outer space, so shouldn't we have uncovered signs of extraterrestrial life by now? Some theorize that if aliens exist, they might have mastered simulation technology and could have escaped from the simulation we are part of. Alternatively, the simulation we inhabit might only have the capacity to simulate one planetary civilization at a time. Dejavu. This phenomenon occurs when an individual feels like they have experienced a current situation before, even though it is happening for the first time. Some theorists argue that déjà vu could be a glitch in the simulation, where a previous scenario is replayed, giving the impression of familiarity. This interpretation suggests that our experiences are not entirely authentic, but rather simulated events that occasionally repeat, lending credence to the simulation hypothesis. Observation affects reality. In the well-known double-slit experiment in physics, electrons are projected toward a photosensitive screen through slits in a copper plate. Usually, this creates an interference pattern indicative of wave-like behavior. However, when the same experiment is conducted under observation, electrons exhibit particle-like behavior instead of waves, and the interference pattern disappears. Some interpret this as suggesting that our simulation conserves resources by rendering certain phenomena only when they are being observed. DNA infected with a computer virus. In 2017, a diverse team of researchers at the University of Washington demonstrated the ability to implant harmful computer code into tangible DNA strands. Their objective was to highlight the susceptibility of computers involved in gene sequencing to cyber attacks. However, their experiment unintentionally suggested that what we traditionally understand as biological reality could be interpreted as computer code. Blue dress, gold dress. This is just a simple photo. But the world is divided. Some saw blue dress, while others insisted it was gold. There are many other instances of this. Regardless of opinions on pitch, volume, or color saturation, these controversies underscored a significant point. Each individual inhabits their own perceptual realm. In essence, what we perceive as reality is partly a construct of our brains, drawing upon past experiences to interpret the fragmented data we receive. Computer codes found in physics. James Gates, a theoretical physicist at the University of Maryland, has identified what appears to be actual computer code embedded in the equations of string theory that describe the fundamental particles of our universe. He said, "I was driven to error-correcting codes. They're what make browsers work. So why were they in the equations I was studying about quarks and electrons and supersymmetry?" Strict rules of our universe. Max Tegmark, a cosmologist from MIT, has suggested that the precise and consistent laws of physics observed in our universe could be indicative of a simulated reality. Drawing an analogy to a video game, he posits that just as characters in a game would perceive their environment's rules as rigid and mathematical, so too might we interpret the laws of our universe. According to this viewpoint, the speed of light, which acts as a universal speed limit for transmitting information, could correspond to limitations within the simulated network. Ghost stories. Paranormal phenomena hold significant popularity, with numerous people witnessing and attesting to their existence. While the simplistic explanation often defaults to ghosts, the scientific community generally rejects this notion. Instead, a more plausible explanation would attribute such occurrences to glitches or anomalies within the simulation. Weird news. The occurrence of recent improbable events, such as Donald Trump's election, Brexit, the 2017 Oscars envelope mix-up, and the 25-point Super Bowl comeback that year, may indicate that we are in a flawed simulation, or that whoever is in control is deliberately manipulating our reality. Inability to prove we are not. Nobody has proven that we are not in a simulation, and in theory, nobody can. NYU philosopher David Chalmers says it best. You're not going to get proof that we're not in a simulation because any evidence that we get could be simulated. The convenient Goldilocks Zone. The Earth is in a too good a place. People speculate that it's too much of a coincidence. Our creators put us in a perfect location for us to thrive. Convenient timing of climate change. The timing of our civilization teetering on the brink of environmental catastrophe raises questions. Could we be part of an ancestor simulation created with the hope that we might provide our creators with solutions to an energy crisis? This idea intersects somewhat with the earlier theory about aliens escaping the simulation. If we discover a groundbreaking solution to the climate crisis, extraterrestrial beings might return to adopt our findings. The bricks of our matrix. We might have identified the tiniest constituent of the universe resembling a pixel, the Planck length. At this scale, our understanding of gravity and space-time breaks down. If our reality is simulated, the Planck length could represent a single unit of information, akin to a pixel. Interest in simulations. In 2014, the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics linked 8,000 computers to generate a simulation of our universe spanning 350 million light-years, and digitally aged it over 13 billion years. On another note, the success of the Sims video game franchise, with over 125 million copies sold in its initial decade. Consequently, it wouldn't be unlikely that future humanity, equipped with the super capability to develop realistic simulations, would choose to utilize it.